Hello, good evening. You heard my name is Angela Garrone. I work for the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy. We work regionally to promote clean energy solutions to climate change. We were involved in the Allen plant retirement comment period, as Scott mentioned earlier. Our take is that solar and wind don't need water and don't have as large impact on our environment as fossil fuels on our air, and that really as we move into a future that's going to have very constrained resources, and we're already seeing that, from droughts and wildfires to flooding in Louisiana, it's all coming to bear. The time is most everyone has gotten on board with climate change is real. The issue really here is, what are we using? We're burning fossil fuels. In the comment period, that is the document where we were told wastewater would be used as the cooling for this plant. They had proposed a larger natural gas plant to begin with, and we were part of a coalition that said, if you have to have natural gas, which they said they did, please use a smaller amount, leave room for solar development in Memphis. I think we all have just been through a rather hot summer, and we know there's plenty of sun to go around in Memphis, and so that was our contention, that you should really leave room and not overbuild natural gas. Now, to TVA's credit, they did build a smaller plant, but part of the reason the plant was going to be more efficient and a lesser impact on the environment was it was going to use this closed cycle cooling and also use wastewater. So, for example, the coal plant that's closing used once through cooling. So just billions of gallons taken in and shot out, never reused as cooling. And if you think about it, that's all it's doing. It's cooling a boiler. So this was going to be a closed cycle. Okay, and reuse wastewater, like you said. If you understand, you will love wastewater. Then, as Scott said, those of us who commented, and this is where the legal kind of piece comes in, we commented and were not told that there was a supplemental environmental assessment that actually looked at, okay, now wastewater is too expensive, what are the options? And that is where, I find it interesting to hear everyone kind of wonder what TVA has looked at, and we wouldn't have to wonder what TVA looked at if we were involved in that second supplemental process. We would have been involved, we would have talked about it, and really TVA is a public power provider, because if you're not familiar, they're a federal entity, they're not a company. I would think it would be in their best interest also to engage with the public. Memphis, by the time the Mississippi gets to us, it's very dirty. And our aquifer water, we guard rather jealously. And at this point, we are very grateful that we have drinking water that we can drink. We all saw it happen in Flint, in that situation there when you have to go to less clean sources. And so, to Mr. Collins' point, it might sound small to TVA, who serves power to 7 states and has coal plants and nuclear plants using water all over the southeast. It's not small for Memphis, and it deserves being looked at harder than a cost analysis. You can't quantify what it means to have clean drinking water come out of your faucets, not have to buy bottled water, not have to buy Brita. So, in my opinion, and we're a company that, a nonprofit that engages with utilities for utility reform and really tries to work with utility. And I actually talked to TVA. Is anyone from TVA here tonight? I don't mean to kind of call you out if you okay. In that case, I did speak with someone who kind of talked about the cost-benefit analysis, and suddenly it was going to cost something like $6 million more, to get from the wastewater to treat it so that it's clean enough to burn, to cool off the boiler and not foul up the equipment. And then it was going to cost a certain amount to buy it from MLGW, and all I heard was cost. And I thought, well, what about if, like we heard, there are already water wars starting. East Tennessee, Southeast Tennessee is very familiar with this. Georgia is fighting them and has been for years over the Tennessee River. It will not be long until that starts happening around here. And at that point, if we already have the gas plant using 3.5 million gallons a day, they're not going to stop needing that. And they're going to tell us, well, now it would cost this much to retrofit. And, so why not think about it now? Because we know what's going to happen. They know what's going to happen. and really, you know, we need to really think about not just paying lip service to clean energy at this point. You know, I recently moved back. I love Memphis. You know, Memphis is my home, and it makes me proud to see everybody here caring about the aquifer, because I moved away and found out how awful it is to have to worry about what the water comes out of your faucet is, and I would tell everyone in New York, like, you don't understand, and in Knoxville, no, you don't know. I miss my water. And so, you know, it's important that the least TVA could have done in this instance is engaged genuinely and proactively with a community that, you know, is very proud and protective of their aquifer. And so, you know, I'm hopeful that this conversation, as Scott said, kind of leads to a larger conversation about who's policing our water. I will say that I know, kind of asked TVA pointedly, will you keep up with how much water you're taking? Because there's, you know, to my knowledge, not anybody watching you because you're drilling on your property. And you know, there wasn't a clear question, and I think they're going to look at that. But I think the least they could do is you know, MLGW has said they will monitor. They monitor it as their job. So at least we could be paying attention to how much is happening and be able to watch the federal entity take our water when it gets down the road, and we guard it even more jealously. So I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.